Hi everybody and welcome back to Borderline. So today I thought I'd speak about homelessness. Okay, because it's one of them taboo subjects. A lot of people don't like to talk about, and a lot of people don't understand. So when you're going to talk about homelessness, the first thing that you got to understand is what do you have to be classified as homeless? Because what a lot of people would say, you're living on the streets. And that's not technically correct. So if you are a statistic in the UK and classified as homeless, the definition and to be put into that bracket, and I've been in that bracket before, okay, this is what it is if you do not have a long-term roof above your head. So you could be put into temporary accommodation, you could be in a hostel, you could be in a hotel, anything like that, you will be classified as homeless. So now we know what it takes to be classified as homeless. Okay, what are the root causes of homelessness in the UK? Well, the first one, which is one of the most, well, it's the most common one, and obviously I've already had a lot of aggro recently because I did a video about it, is people that are being accepted for asylum in the UK. They get their 56 days to be accepted by a council up and down the country and house them, and it's not happening. Okay, so what happens? They get kicked out of their state accommodation and they get put on the street. So that is the biggest section that there is in the UK as things stands at the moment. It's the biggest proportion. People being made homeless are successful asylum seekers, but I'm not here to speak about them today. Done that, got my aggro, got the t-shirt, the whole lot. We're not going to talk about them. So next, you got the people that technically aren't living on the streets but are still classified as homeless, which is one that I fell into. Now, if I talk about my situation, now this happened over 8 years ago. And basically what happened, me and my now wife were renting off a man, was a friend of hers, somebody that she knew, and he wanted to sell his house. Okay, so the council were paying for the property. Okay, so he was getting his money every week or every month, but it's actually every month. So he had no room to complain from that, but he wanted to sell it. He needed to sell it. He was short of cash, needed to sell the house. So he had to go to the courts to put a petition in to evict us. Okay, and once that gets done, I think it's 30 days. 30 days notice that we have to leave. Now, when it comes to the council will not do anything. Even if they had 6 months warning, but they knew that was going to happen, they will not do anything until a court issues that notice, which means they have 30 days to find you a property and move you somewhere. And in our case, even though we were quite lucky, didn't happen. Okay, so we didn't get a place in 30 days. Now, my wife was pregnant at the time. Okay, she was pregnant with my second child, which you can probably see up there. Yeah, you can. Second picture in on your right. Okay, you can see my son Jacob. He's the smaller one of the two in the red. Okay, that's my son Jacob. That was when he was born. Now, luckily for us, we got family. So my wife went to stay with my evil, vindictive, manipulative mother-in-law. And they're the nice things I say about her. And I do say them to her face, so don't think I'm just slating her. Okay, God love her. Okay, and I went to stay with my mother and my stepfather. Now, the benefit was, from our point of view, was my mother lived in Southsea at the time. Okay, And obviously my son was born early, so it was easy for me to get to the Queen Alexandra Hospital because he was in NICU, and I was able to go up there every single day, nice and easily. So I could get there for like 9 o'clock in the morning and stay there until 10 o'clock at night. I was able to stay there all day, every day. So from that point of view, it was nice and easy. And luckily for us, the council actually got us a property pretty damn quickly. So we were only technically homeless for maybe a month, maybe 2 months. So it wasn't a long time. Now that doesn't happen for people up and down the country all the time. And I can give you an example. Now, one of my wife's friends, okay, it's probably her best friend, and she is lucky, but they are good friends. Okay, she split up with her husband. Her husband let her stay in the house because she was an idiot, and she let him have everything. She just had the kids. She let him have everything else, took the money, the whole lot, even had the whole house. So she stayed in the house, and then he decided, because he, as per usual, fell onto financial hard times, because he wasn't very good with money, to say the least. And that's me putting it politely. And same thing happened. He decided he wanted to sell the house, had to go to court, issue the court order, the courts did, gave her 30 days notice to get out. Now, same council, Gosport Borough Council yet again, were unable to find her a property. So they had to put her in a hotel. Now, mind you, she has 3 young children. And when I say young children, they were between the ages of about 10 to 15, 16, roughly around that. I can't entirely remember how old they were at the time. And they ended up having to go into a travel lodge. I'm sure it's a travel lodge. Okay, on Gosport High Street. For 6 months they were in there for. A 1-bedroom hotel room. Now, she had 3 boys. It's not like she was all with girls or everything. Okay, and this is the stipulation, and this is the worst part of it. Okay, that they were not allowed in the hotel room during the day. Part of the fundamental rules. You had to sign paperwork to say you will not be in the hotel room during the day, even though the hotel were happy for you to be in there. Okay, you weren't allowed to be in there until I think it was around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you had to be out by 9 o'clock in the morning. So you had a roof over your head. So you was classified as homeless, and I know other people this is going on with at the moment as well. You know, so that's one area of which is a fundamental problem. The other one is to do with mental health. And this is one of the biggest problems in the UK, is mental health and people able to get the help that they need, whether that's to do with drug addiction, gambling addiction, alcoholism. Okay, and there's also, and I will also throw in there, and I know it's not really mental health, and it's also people trying to escape from things. And these are the people that generally end up on the street, sadly. They may end up getting to be able to stay in a hostel, or there are other organisations out there, very good organisations, that will help people out, so they're not having to rough it and sleep on the streets. Which is all really sad. You know, obviously, I've kind of been a victim to that sort of, because my stepfather was addicted to gambling. I've known other people that have had addictions to gambling, and members of my family who I will not mention on camera, who have had alcohol issues. You know, so it is a cruel and evil thing when it comes to addiction, but sadly, there's not enough help out there, and a lot of people end up becoming homeless because of it, because they will lose everything. But if they don't get the help at the right time, they will fundamentally lose everything. So the reality is, what can be done? Because I can talk about this until the cows come home, but something fundamentally needs to be done. Now, when it comes to the addiction side, the first thing that needs to happen is that a person needs to admit to addiction. If they can't admit to addiction, they're never going to be able to get help. You can force it on them, and I know people who I'm not going to mention where that's happened. They've lost their kids to a degree, they've lost their marriages, they've lost their home, they lose everything. You know, like I said, I know of somebody having, when it comes to my stepfather, exactly the same thing happened. He lost everything because of his own addiction. So, first thing is they need to be able to admit it to themselves and then go to their doctors or somebody to get the help. If they're not willing to do that, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do and they will lose everything. If it's a case of mental health, then they need to go and see somebody. And unfortunately, most people with mental health issues aren't willing to reach out and get the help. So the only thing that can happen is they've got to hit rock bottom. And sadly, for some people, that may be too late. Now, the other side of the coin is there enough housing out there? And the answer to that question is no, there isn't, because there's no such thing in the UK as affordable housing. Now, I've spoken in the past about where I live. Now, I live in Leon-Solent. Okay, and it's like the old cliche goes, location, location, location. And the location of where I live is bloody expensive. Where you could go up to the other end of the country, certain places, and it's dirt cheap. If you consider my next door neighbour, who I spoke to like 10 minutes ago, his house is up for £535,000. The average house on this estate that I live on is going to be over $500,000. Easily over $500,000. I could walk 100 metres that way. There's a house up for sale at the moment for 1.2 million. And it's not a big fancy house or anything. I think it's a 4-bedroom house. Yes, it's got a double garage door, but it's the classic case of what I've already said. Location, location, location. So where I live, there is no such thing as affordable housing. Okay, you could go 5 minutes drive up the road up to Gospel, still the same. Is there affordable housing in the UK? Yet there is, but it certainly isn't in the south of England, not really. And I've done videos on this in the past and people haven't liked it, but like I said, if you go up to north of England, you will get cheaper prices. And yes, there are more expensive places in the north of England, like Harrogate, Leeds, Manchester, Newcastle, which are very, very expensive places to live in on the whole. And then you can find extremely cheap places like Hull, Grimsby, and there's lots of other places. I just can't think of them all at the top of my head. Middlesbrough's another one, not very expensive. Sheffield, not incredibly expensive either. So there's lots of places in the north of England where you can get good deals on housing. But the fundamental problem that you have when it comes to homelessness, but not enough housing is built, and if people do get evicted, they do not have the time to get rehoused. So if a landlord, for argument's sake, wants to evict somebody, okay, because they want to sell their house, a local authority has no time whatsoever to rehouse them. Because if you expect a local authority to rehouse somebody in a month, you're living in cloud cuckoo land. So I'm going to cut it short here. Let us know what you personally think. Okay, obviously, if you are new to the channel, please do subscribe as well. Okay, I would appreciate it. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you again a bit later.